Back before Google, LinkedIn, and cell phones, I stumbled on recruiting. I always knew I wanted to create a recruiting firm that created an incredible candidate and client experience while allowing me, as well as my team, an opportunity to live an abundant life on our own terms, to have the freedom to work where, when, and how we want, and to be rewarded financially for a job well done. It has been a long, sometimes messy marathon, but wow, have I learned a lot about recruiting, branding, sales, scaling, leadership, overcoming challenges, and most importantly, overcoming myself. I absolutely love our industry, and this podcast is for you, my fellow recruiters ready to learn, grow, and push yourself to your next level. Let's do this together. We are talking about all things recruiting. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of All Things Recruiting. I am so happy that you are here as always, and it's about 6:25 p.m. on Wednesday. I just got back from the gym, and it made me think about a lot of things. So whenever I go to the gym, that's kind of like when all my creativity seems to happen. I don't know if you're like that, but I'll start doing cardio. Like today I did the elliptical, I did the stair climber, and then I did lower body, like weight resistance. And it's always on my cardio when I'm done with my workout that my brain just can finally relax and I start thinking of all these things and different topics that I want to share with you. And so the topic that came to mind was energy, and energy for many different reasons. So usually when I go to the gym, my energy will be low. I'm usually either taking a break from work, I'm hungry and I want to eat something, but I want to work out first. And no matter what, when I go into the gym, when I leave there, I always feel so much better and I have so much more energy. And so it made me think of really back to December when I was creating my 3 words for 2025. And if you've been following me for a little while, I usually do that every year. I pick 3 words that I really want to be intentional with and focus on throughout the entire year. It sounds really simple, but when you try to condense everything into just 3 words and you think of those words throughout the year. So again, it's like beginning of March, and probably there are a lot of people that set these big goals back in December. And if I were to ask you right now, what were those goals that you set back in December before January 1st? Would you be able to remember? And would you remember those 3 words that if you were like me and thought of them, can you remember them now? And I know that for me, unless I keep those things top of mind and constantly go back to them, by the time it's March, people are not remembering those things, even though it's only 8 weeks in, right? You're not remembering, or some people are not remembering their goals, what they're working towards, if they're even close to their goals, if they can't remember them. So when I was at the gym tonight, and I'm sorry for my ramble, but when I was at the gym, I was thinking, okay, my 3 words were and that was because I wanted to make sure that I'm really encompassing a lot of different things this year and not just focusing on one thing, but I want to focus on a couple things that I really want to be intentional with. So I'll get into that later, and I did it in an earlier episode if you want to go back and listen. My second word was energy. And when I thought about that, I thought about it's something that we, I think, take for granted a lot of times. We think that whatever our normal energy level is, that it's just something that it is what it is, and we really don't pay attention to it. However, energy is a magnifier. It can be something that no matter what you're feeling, what you're thinking, you can change your energy in a second, and it's going to have a huge effect on the person that you are in front of, on the person that you are on the phone with. even the energy in the room. Have you ever walked into the room and you just feel either very positive energy coming from someone and they don't even have to say a word to you? Or on the other hand, you can walk into a room and feel bad energy, negative energy, and it might be someone that you don't even know, you haven't even spoken to. They could have their back to you, but you can just feel their energy coming off of their body. So, I wanted to share a couple things about it because, like I said, and for our jobs as recruiters, if we're having a bad day, if we're tired, if we're not feeling good, our energy can completely change the forecast of our day. And so when we are having those bad moments, or even if we're just having an average day, if we can slightly change that energy wave by doing simple things, we can literally change the end result of our day, of our placements, of our candidates' experience, of our client experience, like everything. So, one of the things that as recruiters we talk about a lot is time management. So, some of the things I'll hear my, just people in general that I happen to be either on the phone with or in person with or whatever, we're always talking about time. And I know I do this too. So I'll be like, gosh, I just wish I had enough time. I don't have enough time. I'm running out of time. And I think that we, again, take for granted the energy piece. So if you think about energy, I want you to think about a couple things. So if you're driving, obviously don't do this. But if you're not driving, if you're somewhere sitting at your desk, or if you're eating breakfast or lunch or dinner, and you have time to jot some things down, even in your phone, think about number one, what brings you energy? What is it, or what people bring you energy? So, for example, what brings me positive energy, and it can also bring me negative energy, is my environment. I love being around people that are going to lift me up, that are energetic. I like hustle and bustle, especially when I need to be, quote, on, if I need to be like, you know, going in front of a client or having a candidate interview or working with my team. The more the environment is lively and upbeat and people are busy and fast paced, that's bringing my energy up. So the whole environment really can affect my mood. And I try to I try to manage it because I know I'm a very empathetic person and an empath, so I can take on other people's emotions really quickly. So I try to put myself in places where it's going to be a positive thing. But on the flip side, it can also be a negative thing. Like you can find yourself, if you've ever been in a wrong position at work, you can find yourself feeling like you're around people that either have negative energy or are toxic or just people that you just don't really want to be around. And so I think it's really important for you to know what personally brings you energy, positive energy for the good, and to put yourself in those places more often. So for me, like I was just saying, being in places that bring me up is very important. So I just recently got a co-working office. So I work from home after COVID. My entire office, my entire team, we went remote. And we always used to have a brick and mortar office. And I love working from my home office, which I'm recording this podcast right now. I love it. But I was feeling a little bit like I needed to just get around people more because we can do so much of our jobs remotely. So I just recently got a co-working space and I'm going to be going there a couple days a week. But it's just for me just to be in different energy. That's really the main reason. It's not like I couldn't do my job in my home office like I always have been for the last 5 years. But I felt like I needed to be around just people and just different energy. So think about what brings you energy. The other thing I want you to think about is, what steals your energy? What does take away your energy? So for me, negativity. Like I said, I can feel people's energy. So if someone has negative energy, that to me, I can feel it immediately. The other thing that steals my energy is stress. So if I'm feeling stress, if I'm feeling worried, if I'm feeling fearful, those will definitely zap my energy. So I always try to, if I'm feeling that way, I try to stop for a minute and just go, okay, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? And what do I need to do to not feel this way? It sounds really simple, but as you know, it's not that simple sometimes. So the other things I was thinking of, that steal my energy are bad clients, once in a while. And so I think that you guys can all relate. There are some times when we're working with clients or even sometimes, candidates where um, they're taking all of the energy and just zapping your energy. And at some point, you have to determine, like, is this worth it? Is it worth being in this, business relationship if it's going to zap my energy? So I think it's important to think about that. And then the other thing I want you to think about is, what time are you most energetic? Like, when do you have most of your energy? Are you a night person? Are you a morning person? Like me, I love waking up super early and just immediately getting my day started. By the end of the evening, like right now, I actually have a lot of energy right now, but it's probably because I'm talking to you. But generally, in the evenings, I start to lose my energy and I just want to kind of wrap up the day because I wake up really early. I wake up usually around 5. So I think it's important for you to think about, like, when do I have my most energetic, you know, time? And what you'll want to do is you want to do anything that is hard. Anything that does take more of your mental energy, you want to do that first thing, like when you have the most energy. So for me, like I said, it's like first thing in the morning. If you're more energetic at night, maybe those are the things, like if you're doing business development, that usually is something that takes more energy for most recruiters. So whatever part of that day, is when you're most energetic, that's when you want to do that more difficult thing. So another thing too that I wanted to mention is that there are situations too that I think can happen where you feel like you are taking up more energy. For example, and I'll just tell you a story of something that's happened in the past when it comes to recruiting. And it has to do with when you're scaling and you have a team. There are certain circumstances that come up where you have to make decisions and make decisions on whether or not you are going to put different energy into something. So, for example, I had a situation where I had someone leave my company and then they went in and they tried to download a lot of data from our database and just do things that were not ethical. And I had to make a decision on whether or not I was going to pursue legal action with this person. And my decision really came about, not so much like the time that it would take, but that was a big consideration. But it also came down to how much like mental energy is this going to take me to do something and focus on something negative when I could just put it aside and focus all of that attention and energy that I would have spent on something negative, but to focus on something positive, to focus on all of the great people on my team and all of the business development that I could do during that time instead of focusing on something negative. And so I'm sure that you'll find things during your day where you're feeling like you're, taking your energy and putting it into a place, because we have limited energy every single day, just like we have limited time. So if you are in that position and you come across something where you're like, is this really worth it? Is it worth all of my energy to fight or to, be in a situation that is bringing you down? Is it worth it? Is it worth that just mental energy? And I think you'll find in a lot of times that it's just not, and that you can put that attention to something positive and good. So this week, I would love to hear how you feel you're spending your time and your energy. And if you're feeling like you are, savoring your energy for all of the positive things, or if there's been experiences where you've, wasted energy or you've spent energy and you could have been doing something different with that energy. So I hope this episode was helpful for you. And just a reminder, I always like to do like a LinkedIn tip of the week and a reminder. So for this week, it is just make sure that you are taking at least 10 minutes a day and you have 20 available invites that you can send out to people. Even if you have LinkedIn Recruiter, you still want to always connect with those people that you want to start to develop long-term relationships with. So you have 20 a day, Monday through Friday. And most of us know that, but most of us may not invite 20 people into our community and network. So make sure that you're doing that. And I'm always here for any questions. I'd love to hear anything that you have feedback on, or maybe tips on an upcoming episode that you'd like to hear about, or something maybe that you heard today that was helpful for you. So have a great couple weeks, and I will talk to you next time. Bye. Thanks for joining me today. I would love to hear what resonated with you or suggestions for a future show. Connect with me on LinkedIn and be sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. All the links are in the show notes. And if you or someone you know is an amazing recruiter and is looking to join my brokerage recruiting model for more time, freedom, and money, let's chat.